Welcome in, welcome back to the Playbook for Growth podcast. I'm Sam McKenzie, my co-host Connor Cameron alongside me. How are we today, Connor?
We're doing great. It's another great day to talk about what we got for you guys today.
Yeah, good to hear, brother. Good to hear. It's been a good day today. Been gym. The sun is shining, which is a rarity over here. So, been some good things to report. But we've got overcoming procrastination today, which is something that uh, that everybody deals with. That comes in all
Right.
different shapes and sizes. When you have things that you have to do, and you don't feel like doing them, procrastinating is one way that leads to more short-term gratification of, okay, it's not my problem, but tomorrow's version of yourself will be less ecstatic that you've decided to put things off and it continues to build, and it's a negative thing. So procrastination is, again, something that it can be big, it can be small, it can mean things you don't want to do, things that you have to do. Oftentimes it's when nobody's when it's almost voluntary, like when you have to do hard things and you're going to force yourself to do them. You say, oh, well, I'll put it off. I'll do it later. I'll do it tonight. I'll go to the gym this afternoon. Okay, now I'll go this evening. Okay, now I won't. Now I'm going tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
It's a disease and it can take over and it comes in many shapes and sizes. So, uh,
Mm-hmm.
just touch on for you, where is procrastination the hardest in your life? Is it going to the gym? Is it with school? Where do you find the most difficulty with procrastinating?
I think procrastinating comes to me when you know I'm tired and I've put it off all day and now I'm tired. So that's kind of when it comes. But I think definitely doing I wouldn't necessarily any like hard things will happen all the time. So it's not that hard things make me procrastinate. It's more that I'd say school. School makes you procrastinate quite a bit for me because it's Monday, it's due Sunday. It's like, yeah, we don't have to do it till Saturday, right? So it's putting stuff off so that your later self can do that later. I think that there's, as we'll get into, I'm sure, but there's lots of benefits that you can, or tricks that you can do that we both definitely have experienced and used to kind of combat that procrastination. And yeah, I think that essentially just not just having to do it. Just once you start doing it, then it's easy.
Well, something that Chris Williamson, and not exclusively Chris, but obviously, he's big inspiration for me, and I listen to everything he has to say. Basically, something that he'll say is, you'll find in hindsight that you spend more time anxiously thinking about doing the thing, or talking
Right.
about doing the thing, or tweeting about doing the thing. You spend more time doing that than if you just done the thing, it would be done. And so his
Right.
his phrase "do the thing" is one that I lean on a lot, because you always know what it is that you have to do. There's always something, and you have to do that thing, and it does tend to be the thing you want to do the least, like you touched on. Okay, Monday, here's my list of tasks today. Okay, today I'm feeling good, so I've got to go to the gym. Yeah, I'm feeling good, we'll knock it out. Got to eat right. Well, I've meal prepped. Perfect. We've taken
Mm-hmm.
care of that. I've got to do this or that with family or friends. Boom, like to do that. And
Yep.
then whatever it is, oh, we've got schoolwork due in 6 days. How am I going to force myself to do that and use my time today to get it done, which then frees up the rest of the week? That's where that procrastination
Mm-hmm.
comes in. So a big one, since you're on about, we've had a few different ways to kind of combat it and some tactics that we've learned.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure something that we've both talked about, to eat the frog, right? To do the hardest thing first.
Yeah. Yeah.
Excuse me. Um, how do you find that? Do you find that to be, because I know for you, most of your days start in the gym. Do you find
Right.
that is eating the frog for you? Is that the thing that requires the most mental and physical discipline?
Yes, I'd say it definitely does. I think that since I've started going consistently for what, 55-ish days, and doing two workouts a day, um, um, it's hard mentally and physically, and I started to notice that specifically this past weekend where I hit legs on Friday and I'm still sore on Sunday. And so it's just that physical, soreness that I haven't experienced, but I know that it's good. And so definitely doing that. It just sets up my day for success. It just sets up my day. I feel good. You know, you always feel better. I've never felt worse coming out of the gym. I don't know if that's possible actually. I've always felt better. No matter what time I try to work out, yeah, between 6 and 6:30 every morning, depending on the gym space and whatnot. But I just think it just sets up my day for success, and it gives you mental clarity. It gives you got your strength training in, and then you go for a walk later on in the day to kind of walk around and look at the nature and kind of be with your own thoughts and just have some time to yourself. But I think for me, definitely the gym is the most important part for me and the hardest thing at the start of the day.
So I'll pose this one to you then, say as an example, as quite a practical one for maybe some listeners.
Hmm.
Right, you do that every day. Now you've got a demanding task with school, for example.
Hmm.
And in 3 hours, you're going to be able to get it done, but those 3 hours are going to suck. They're going to be
Hmm.
miserable. You're not going to want
Hmm.
to do it, and it has to be done that day, right? Would you find that waking up and let's say from 6:30 to 9:30 in the morning doing that
Hmm.
thing, would you find the discipline and the willpower to go about that? Would that be the best way to approach it, or would you say still starting your day in the gym? Would you say that's a better alternative because then once you've done the gym, you said, okay, I'm doing hard things today, and then you roll into it?
Right. I think I think that it depends on your routine and your schedule. We talked about routines and we talked about how to build a proper one and what you can do. And that's just my routine. And I don't think I'm not changing my routine because I have a big assignment to knock out. I'll knock it out after the gym. So for me, just if your routine is, I'm going to the gym in the mornings, don't change your routine because you got an assignment, or don't change your routine because you got whatever this is. Don't book time over stuff that you already have time booked in for yourself that benefits you. And it's not like you've been in the gym at this time for weeks, for months, for lots of days. So you don't double book yourself by I'll push my gym back unless you absolutely have to. Unless there's definitely circumstances where you obviously want to change your schedule and move around. But for me personally, when I look at that, and obviously I'd love to hear your thoughts too, is do the routine that you've been doing. And for me, that would be, yeah, I'm going to go to the gym, knock out the gym for 45 minutes to an hour and 15, and then go shower, eat, and then prepare for that hard schoolwork of 3 hours. And I'd argue that that's going to actually be easier after you did the gym.
Right, and that's there you go. That's the interesting part for me because I think some people perhaps find a hard balance of that. It's okay if you only have you have finite willpower, so if I devote X amount of it to the gym, it's
Hmm.
going to be there's going to be less in the tank, excuse me, afterwards to be able to do the other thing that needs to be done. But on the flip side, it's like I've done this hard thing,
Right.
and I've spoken about it, that being the gym, and it's my routine, and I do it every day, and I'm like you say, you build that evidence up with yourself, as I've spoken about on every
Right.
show up to date, is building the evidence with yourself that okay, I'm doing this right,
Hmm.
and I think that's a great point. I think that comes into play, and yeah, my thoughts on it are quite similar. You have to do the things, and that's it. It's a practical example of the entire point that we make. It's why do we force
Hmm.
ourselves to do these hard things? Why do we put ourselves
Right.
into difficult situations on purpose? Because that's where growth is to be found. Um, we do them so that when these situations come up, where okay, I have a new hard thing on my plate to do
Hmm.
that I just have to do.
Yeah.
It's okay, I've built a lot of evidence with myself that I'm going to do them. And so it doesn't mean that you have to then take away the gym in order to
Right.
complete that task, right? It's okay.
Hmm.
We've got a bigger schedule today. Let's have a look. We got the gym here. Now we're working. And that is the entire point. That's why we do these hard things. And when it comes down to, as I previously said, because there is a limit to your willpower for any given
Yeah.
day,
Yeah.
of course, be intentional and smart. If your schedule doesn't allow, right, the deadline that is today versus a thing that is a repetitive, everyday habit, right? You have to get done what needs to be done today, but only adjust your schedule, only adjust your routine if there is a literal time constraint. If you can do
Yeah,
the hard thing that you do every day and then the hard thing that's due today, perfect. Do them both. It doesn't matter the order. And so no, that's a great point. So I love that. I love the eat the frog. I think it's a really good one. It's an older quote I know as well, so it's obviously something that stood the test of time. And people are different. Some people will wake up and have the most willpower in that moment,
hmm,
excuse me, to do the hardest thing. Others, and I know Andrew Huberman's talked about this one, like going to the gym, for some people, half an hour or 3 hours or even 11 hours after waking is when their energy is at their max.
yeah,
To be able to put their best performance in the gym, and so it varies from person to person. So you have to know what works for you.
absolutely.
We're a good example of this. I'm quite okay with going through my day, whether it's work or school that I have. I'm okay with going through that and then hitting the gym at 9, 10 o'clock at night. And that's fine, even when I'm tired and I know that it's something that I have to do. I can lean on the voices that I draw inspiration from, the Goggins of the world, and know that look, this is it. This is what it requires, right? If I've spent the day making money at work and then I've got schoolwork to do, it's like okay, this is where the gym. It's a consequence of my own actions of not getting up earlier, and so it has to be done, right? I have to do it. And for example, you on the other side, brilliant in the morning. Your mornings are ridiculously productive. You get
Yeah,
a lot done. You're often bouncing from gym 6 to 8, class 8 to 12, right? You're eating in between your classes, and then you're off to the golf course, and it's like just bang, 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 and
yeah,
that's ridiculously impressive. And so for it changes from person to person. No matter which chunk of the 24 hours you're using
yeah,
part of your 24 hours. And
yeah.
so yeah, no, you got to find what works for yourself. I love eat the frog. Is there another tactics, any tactic or perhaps word of advice for yourself that has helped you or others when it comes to overcoming that procrastination and just doing the thing?
Hmm. So for me, and if we have listeners, high school and beyond that, but first specifically for me, high school was the biggest procrastination. For me, I didn't want to be there. I didn't enjoy being there. I was kind of to be there to see my friends and to socialize and really not do school. And when I came to university, I realized that it's a little different, but it's quite demanding. And so I quickly learned that planning out your days and planning out your weeks and knowing when specific things are due and when specific things have to be done is very important. And and so I quickly started to learn that there's going to be a lot of assignments that are going to be due on Sunday at 12. And so some of those assignments are being done on Sunday because, they're a reflection of the week's materials, so they can be done on Sunday after you've read all the material. But there's some assignments that you need to actually take more time, like papers. In university, there is a lot of papers that need to be done that are a lot of pages. So banging out a 10, 12 page paper, on the day that it's due is really not smart, not only for, your best effort but just for your overall well-being. You need to be doing stuff other than homework. So for me, finding a balance between school and extracurricular activities is very important. Not everything should be driven by sports, or not everything should be driven by school or social. But I do suggest that a lot of your time should be driven towards a passion or something that you care about, and something that is hard, but it doesn't feel hard. At some times, most of the time, it's not work. And so for me, what I like to do is every week, because I'm 8 weeks into my semester, and so halfway through, which is nice. But what I do is now I know what assignments are due each week for every class. So there's an app on my laptop on Mac. It's called Stickies, and I literally go through my schedule on my class website and go, this is what's due each day this week. And so then I put the assignment and I put when it's due and I write them all out. Usually I'll have about 10 things that need to get done from Monday to Sunday, usually. And a couple of them are Monday to Thursday. So, when I have this time like this downtime, let's say, when I'm just done eating and, I don't have anything scheduled now till 3. Let's say I'm at 12:30 and I don't have anything till scheduled till 3. It's like instead of scrolling on TikTok or scrolling on Instagram or Snapchat or watching YouTube, let's look at my tasks, and it's like let's get a 90-minute chunk of work in here, and let's see how many assignments we can bang out. And you'll surprise yourself when you actually set out and have that 90 minutes of deep work. You produce really good without distractions. Put your phone away, all that stuff. You produce really good work, and you'll probably get a quarter of the assignments done, just if you sit down and just bang them out. Because most of the time, it's not that you don't know or don't understand the information or the concepts. It's that you don't want to do it. You rather be doing, hanging out with your friends, getting coffee, just watching YouTube. So for me, it's that, and I like to look ahead. What's important, what I would suggest is look ahead in your week on Monday or even Sunday night. Look ahead at your week and go, okay, this is what I do. And then so I have my list of what needs to be done the whole week, and then I have another category underneath that says to do today. And so it might be this assignment, but it also might be I got to do a load of laundry, I got to clean my room, I got to go get groceries. So there's things that you when you write these things out, you're going to want to do them. When you write them out and go, I got to get groceries today, I got to go do this today, then you're going to want to do them. So all I would say there is just look ahead and find something that works. Find a tactic that works for you, where you have tasks that you need to do each day, and you write them out so that you do them, and so that you put some I don't know if pressure is the right word, but there's some consequences that happen if you don't do them.
Yeah, no, it's funny that you say that, because I'm looking at you and I'm looking down at my notes on my right, and on my left is my daily schedule for the week. And when you talk about that consequence, I have a check mark when it's done. So for today, I had a report for school that has a check mark. I have the gym that has a check mark. I have thrown out the boxes that I had because I had some new, pardon me, some new protein bars. Check.
Mm-hmm.
I've not got a check next to the laundry, right? And then I've not got a check next to the show yet because it's not done. If the show isn't done, if my laundry's not done, I don't see the check, right? And you can't fake the check. You know you've done it. So
Yeah.
that's huge. The writing them out is a very actionable tip for people to start doing. It's huge, because then it all ties in. It's amazing how it does, but it ties in again with that when Mike Tyson says the discipline is doing what you hate to do and doing it like you love it. Well, how do you know what it is that you hate to do? How do you know what it is that you have to do? Right? You have to find that out. You have to write it down, and then once it's written down, it has to be done.
Yeah.
And so that's a great step. And no, exactly. It's something that I'm sure we both do every day is write out those tasks that have to be done. Cal Newport, another one with the, pardon me, on the productivity and the deep work, like you touched on. That's his phrase. He's big on that as well.
Yeah.
And no, it's amazing. Like you said, that it's amazing what you can get done. That's exactly what Chris said again. It's you spend less time just doing the thing than thinking about doing the thing or talking about doing the thing or procrastinating, just in general. Just the only thing that is doing the thing is doing the thing, and that's what he says.
Right.
And when your things, plural, are listed out for the day, for the week, for the month, whatever it might be, then you know what you have to do and you have to do them. And then also when you talk about overall goals, this gets talked about a lot, but you have to break that down. For example, okay, this week I want to go to the gym 6 times, for example, because my split is 6 days. Okay, that's one step, but I just can't start going to the gym 6 times a week and doing whatever I feel like. What's that going to look like? That could be rather unproductive. It could be all over the place. It could be erratic. Okay, well, now I break it into push pull legs. Okay, now the individual exercises. Now I'm doing my research. Now how's my split going to look like? Which days take the longest to recover from? When can I fit in that rest day per week that I have where it makes the most sense? And so you have to then break those down, and then eventually that turns into, on my schedule, 2 hours in the gym on this day, and it turns into my list of exercises and sets and reps that I have to do. And so the more you simplify it, the more you break it down, the easier it is to turn that into doable things instead of just kind of abstract ideas, right? And so no, that's an important one. Um, what about, for example, when you're in a rut, right? We've been in these before.
Yeah.
Both of us have. When you've just had a bad week, a bad month, right? You're
Yeah.
not eating how you're supposed to. You've
Hmm.
slacked off doing the things that you're supposed to. Your grades have suffered as a result. For example, in school, how do you, well, A, if you want to talk about what it's like to be in one, but also then how do you transition and get out of it and get back on track?
Well, I'll speak about the first part of what it's like to be in it, and then I'll let you speak about how you can learn from it and get out of it. Being in a rut it happens to everyone. At some point, it's bound to happen, and so being able to recognize that I'm not eating well, or I'm not training as hard, or I'm not going to the gym as much, or whatever it might be that you notice. um, you you need to find a way to get out of that rut and keep going. And for me, I think the biggest thing that I can say is don't let it drag on. When you realize it, let's say, okay, you're doing 75 hard, and on the 20th day, part of your program is no alcohol, and it's your buddy's birthday and you have a beer. Instead of really degrading yourself negatively, just restart the next day and keep going. Don't quit. Oh yeah, I'm done now. I'm just gonna go back to my old life. Don't quit. Keep going. Even though you maybe wrecked the 19 past prior days, you can still keep going forward. You don't have to stop. And it's not giving yourself a break. It's just literally showing yourself that you can keep going. So that's the biggest thing that I see is when people go into ruts, it's because they keep doing the same thing after they realize that it's not working. So realize that it's not working, and then if it happens, then all you have to do is you literally have to wake up the next morning and do the same things that you were doing for those past days, and then you'll be out of it. You'll be out of it. Sure, it sucks that you're supposed to do 75 days and you did 20, but you know what? You did 19 days, so um, that's still an accomplishment, and there's stuff to learn from, and it's an experience. So don't just stop doing what is hard, or don't stop doing your goal. Like, you want to achieve your goals, don't like just stop because you messed up. Like, no one's perfect, so just keep going and keep doing what you want to do, and keep fighting for those goals and for those dreams that you had, and that will get you out of it. I think that's what I've done.
Yeah, yeah, no, love that, and it starts with the next move, whatever
Yeah.
the next move. We've talked about a lot. What's the next best move on the chessboard? It doesn't matter if you've made for example, 17 bad days. It doesn't matter if you made 17 wrong steps in a row, or many individual wrong steps in amongst that. It's okay. The next best move tonight is to set my alarm early to get out of bed. What's the next best move? Take care of myself, clean my space. Next best move,
Hmm.
probably to work out or do the first
Hmm.
thing that you have to do. And just pick yourself up off the ground. Like you say, it happens to everyone. A lot of times
Yep.
it's as a result of other difficult things that have come about in your life that kind of cause you to fall into that rut, because it's easier to fall into them when there's more obstacles in the way. When there's less things in the way of you going to the gym and doing your work and doing what you need to do and spending time outside and getting out of stimulus and response and meditating and praying and all these things. Um, when there's the less obstacles in the way of doing that, the more likely you are to succeed. So often it is the ruts come about when life throws its curveballs at you, as it does to
Yep.
everyone.
Hmm.
And so that is where those tough times is, again, like you said, it's the opportunity for the most growth. It's an opportunity to learn. And so the way to get out of hard times, which often cause you to go into the rut,
Yep.
is to get out of the rut. Then with it, the tough times become easier. With it, you start to grow and learn, and you become more resilient with life's challenges. And it, like you said, it happens to everyone, and that's a comforting thing, right? It's like you're not. I was listening at the gym in my session before this to Chris Bumstead on Modern Wisdom, which came out a
Yep.
couple of days ago,
Yep. Just the other day. Yep.
and when yeah, Chris asked Chris, right? But they're both Chris, but Chris Williamson asks Chris, who's just won another Olympia, like fifth or sixth, Canadian, a fellow Canadian. Um, he's like, what would you say to somebody that's going through a rough patch or rough time? And Chris said, "Look, hang it, it's going to be all right. You're not alone." And that ties into that. It's like everybody goes through this. You're not the only one that's entered a rut. You're not the only one that feels unworthy
Mm-hmm.
of, whatever's in your way because, or sorry, whatever good things are in your path because you've not worked hard enough or because you've had a bad week or a bad
Yeah.
month. It's fighting that feeling of being unworthy. It's like, well, no, let's do the next best thing. Let's
Mm-hmm.
now take the next right move on the chessboard, no matter how big or small that is. Let's just take the next actionable step. Let's make it the right one. And there's some beauty in that as well. It's like no matter how far you've strayed off the path of what you're supposed to be doing, all it takes is one move and you're back in the right
Mm-hmm.
direction. In the same way that
Yeah.
when you're building, one move compounds on another, and it's linear growth. And so no, I think you've nailed it again. What else comes to mind for yourself when you talk about the topic? Because obviously I've got a few things written down, but I've led the conversation, so I'll give you a chance if there's anything you want to touch on.
Um, I think for me is do like we talk about the frog, do the hard tasks first in the day and save the ones that are easy later. When you get through the hard tasks first, not only is it good for you, but those tasks later on that are the so-called easy ones are actually really easy. Because you struggled maybe, or you took a ton of time and effort for the first half of the day, grinding and working hard for these tough tasks, and then you have an easy task to do. It's like, oh, this is nothing. So I think stacking those hard tasks on top of each other is a lot mentally and physically. But you'll definitely, for me, I definitely noticed that I feel like more I feel higher capabilities, and I feel stronger um, coming out after knowing I did the hard thing first. And it's just that notion of that frog, don't eat your dessert before, like all this type of stuff. It's like, you know you want to play video games first, or you want to, you know watch TikTok first. You want to hang out with your friends first, but it's like, that you have these things to do, and so do them first, and then you have a clear mind, you have a clear slate, and you can do those things now. Obviously, I don't love scrolling on TikTok for hours, but I'm more focused on hanging out with your friends and socializing. If you have done those things, and if you have had those points on your graph that show you, yeah, I've done this hard thing, I think it's fair that I have a social calendar. And like we talked about in the first episode, or the first couple, about saying no. It's okay to say no, and I'm not saying that maybe you don't want to have a social calendar. That's fine, but I'm saying for me, when you do the hard things after, I want to be around people that have done the hard things as well, and that we can socialize, go grab a bite, talk about sports, stuff that is fun, because obviously you want to have fun, but have the fun after you've done the hard work.
Well, yeah, you're spot on again, and the evidence is there that the alternative is destructive. Because if you start your day with half an hour of Reels or TikTok, that's set. You've woken up and your dopamine baseline for the day is now absolutely through the roof.
Way up
And how
there.
are you
Oh yeah.
supposed to go from maybe the most dopaminergic activity that there is? How are you supposed to go from that to then start your day with,
Schoolwork,
or
sitting
sorry,
at a
not start your
desk
day,
or
but after
whatever.
your, yes, exactly, at a desk outside with your own thoughts, right, without
Yeah.
consuming anything. Like you have absolutely skyrocketed what your brain now needs to be, satisfied, or to, like you're just going to be craving that dopamine for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And now your baseline is
Yeah.
so high, and that is incredibly destructive
Hmm.
because deep work, hard things are are the opposite. They give the lowest. You don't want to do them. There's no the reward is great in the aftermath, but the actual action of doing them, like TikTok, very pleasurable as an action. The action of doing the hard things is nowhere near. There is no. You derive very little from it. It's the
Yeah.
reward, the aftermath,
Yeah.
and so yeah, exactly. It's like you. the alternative is just it will destroy your day from start to finish
Right.
because you're just setting off on the wrong foot. And so, yes, the power of that alternative, of knowing that you got to eat the frog, like you say, you're not going to eat your dessert. You're not going to have your hour of social media at 8 a.m. You're going to have it at 8 p.m. Uh, for
Right.
me, I struggle a lot of times with doing the schoolwork versus, like, I can say that I'm being, oh well, if it's a productive YouTube video, right? If it's a modern wisdom episode, for
That's
example,
different. Yeah.
then it's fine. Like I can like last year, yeah, exactly. A lot of times I would show up at school when I was going in Calgary, and like be like, okay, I'll do the work after I watch this productive YouTube video. It's like, well, you're still, the productive YouTube video is gonna make you feel good, right? And yes, it's gonna give you actionable steps to go about doing your thing, but you still have to do it, right? Whereas, imagine what I derive from starting my day, getting to school, doing my work, doing what I need to do, and then I come back and I gain from
Hmm.
listening to said episode, right, with an Alex Hermosi, and gain what he says, gain from it, and then further apply that to adjust my strategy to where the next time I'm coming into school, right, something might change about my behavior in a positive way. And so you can masquerade things. You can say, I'm doing this which I don't enjoy. I'm doing this which I don't really enjoy, but when you're avoiding the hardest thing. And so that is why the hardest thing, like the frog, that's why that's so
Hmm.
important, because it is easy to give you some feel good wins. Um, but you're either doing the thing that you're supposed to do or you're not. You're either procrastinating the most difficult thing on your list or you're not, and right? And
Yeah.
oftentimes that will happen.
100%.
If I have something that I really don't want to do, if I have something that I really, really don't want to do on my list, and then I have three other things I don't really want to do, like laundry, for example. It's easier to
Who
do the
wants to do
laundry
that?
because I'm like, okay,
Who
well,
wants to do
yeah,
that?
right, exactly. But I'll do the laundry because that's that's hard, but it's not as hard as the other thing I'm avoiding. So then I feel better about myself. Whereas I know that what really has to happen is, let's get this hardest thing done first, and then build our way down the list.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, the theme is constant here. It's, you have to eat the frog. You have to start with it, because the more easy tasks, the more leisurable activities that you do at the start of your day, the harder it is. And it's the same with the week, right? The more you, okay, I have one thing left to do for school this week. It's Tuesday and it's due on Friday. Well, the more you take pleasure and leisure on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the harder it's going to be to do that thing that's due on Friday.
Yeah.
Whereas when you just complete that thing on Tuesday, right, the pleasure is more enjoyable.
Yeah.
Your leisure, whatever it is that you choose to do, or it gives room to be even more productive with other things. And so, yeah, that's it. That's the alternative to doing the thing is destructive, and that is all the more
Yeah.
reason, I would say, uh, to start with that.
Yep. 100%. You're spot on once again, but I just want to talk about a couple of things that you said, and it's the proper dopamine. The proper Getting the proper dopamine is important, not the crappy dopamine that TikTok or Instagram or those things give you. I would like to call it the false sense of dopamine. Even though your dopamine spikes way up to the friggin' roof, it's still not the proper dopamine. The proper dopamine is working out, doing the hard thing, that gives you proper dopamine. Reading the pages, that gives you dopamine. And even though you might not feel like you're giving yourself dopamine, you are, because you are doing hard things, and hard after you complete hard things, you get that you feel like something lifts up out of yourself, that it's almost like weight off your shoulders, like, oh, I did this today, or I did this hard thing today, and you feel good. Anytime you complete a task where you get that check mark, or your boss says, "Oh, good job," or your teacher says, "Good job this week," that's just more inspiration and more motivation to keep working hard and keep doing what you're doing. And that check mark is very important, because you've done it. It's done, and so now you can move on. So getting the most possible check marks you can per week, without the hours of procrastinating, is it's huge. We've talked about it before. Modern wisdom, it takes more time to get into the things than actually takes you to do the task. It takes you so much time to get into the task. I'm going to plan out the day or plan out the task instead of just doing it. You'd be more productive. And then the second thing is just delaying the gratification, and the pleasure will be more enjoyable because of that. it is definitely an important thing that I like you talked about. We talk about delaying gratification all the time, and it's probably one of the most essential things that you can do when you're learning and growing is delaying the gratification for later on. Because once you do that, when you actually get it, when you get that dessert at the end, whatever it is, it feels 10 times better than if you would have got it, when you didn't deserve it. And the last thing I want to touch on is enjoy the process. Focus on the process. Stop focusing on the results. It's hard sometimes. It's hard for me. I'm sure you can touch on that. It's sometimes hard for you. But when you don't get those results, you kind of fold. You kind of go, oh, well, I've been putting all this work in. I've been putting all this work in. Why am I not getting the results? Where are the results? Like results, results, results. And it's the notion of enjoy the process, enjoy the hard things, enjoy the lessons, enjoy the teachings, enjoy all that stuff, and try to look past the results. The results will come. It might take months, it might take years, but the results will come if you're doing the right thing and you love your process. I'm reading the book called Chop Wood, Carry Water right now, which for all those who are listening, I would highly recommend you read it. It's about falling in love with the process. And one of the things that he says in the book is the notion of I'm building my own house, which is you're
Who is the
doing
author?
it at. I actually don't know. I'll have to.
No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Joshua Medcalf
There you
um,
go.
is the author. So go ahead and buy it. It's a short read. The chapters are very short, so if you have low attention, you read out 10 pages, no problem. You can read the whole. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But Joshua Medcalf, Chop Wood, Carry Water. It's falling in love with the process, even though you're not getting results. To sum it up very quickly, it's about there's a kid that wants to become a samurai archer, which takes 10 years, and he wants it now. He wants it now. He doesn't want to go through the process, but his sensei keeps telling him that you have to chop wood, carry water before you can shoot the arrows or become that. So it's that notion. And so it's the notion of, like I said earlier, building your own house. Who cares what the person next to you is doing? I know it's hard to look past that, but you know what? He might have been doing it for longer than you. He might have more experience than you. Who knows? But build your own house. You're doing your house at your own rate, and you'll get there. Just fall in love with the process, and it's hard to kind of look past the results. But if you can truly fall in love with the process, and delay gratification and have the discipline, have the proper dopamine, you'll succeed. And that's what I think comes to mind when I think about
Yeah,
procrastination. And that's what I got.
that's three fantastic points that I'll touch on before we close because all three are brilliant. And again, that's another suggestion for some reading that I'll do myself because I haven't heard of it, but I'll get into it because it sounds like brilliant stuff. And that is it. It's chopping wood and carry water, and it's like you said, embrace the process when there's no results. It's like, well, if what if there is no results? What if I do, you know, exert a lot of time and energy and effort into something and don't end up reaping the results? Good, as Jocko Willink would say, like good. Now like okay, I've devoted a lot of time and effort and energy into the right thing, right? I've even if it doesn't necessarily reap the results, it's like
Hmm.
I've been disciplined, right? I've probably grown through this process. I've done the right things, and then
Hmm.
like we've perhaps touched on, when it is a success, right? Regardless of whether results come, if you're finding pleasure and dopamine, the right dopamine in the
Hmm.
process, then it doesn't matter
Hmm.
what the results are, and that is again what we talked about before, the framework switch of process over results instead of it
Yeah.
being all about the results. That's what comes about from that. It makes doesn't necessarily make it irrelevant the outcome, but because obviously you want to see your projects and you want to see things succeed, you want to
Of
see
course.
growth, but that growth is going to come about regardless of what ends up being, whether it's a moneymaker or whatever it might be. You've devoted yourself and you've again built more evidence with yourself that you can produce work and you can get up and do the same thing every day, no matter what it is, the same hard things, and you can do that without having it be all about the outcome, and that's huge. The focus on the process, is massive for sure. And I think that's an excellent point. And yeah, chopping wood and carrying water. It's regardless of what the outcome is. Is it the most pleasurable thing to do right now, or is it the right thing to do? And those are
Mm-hmm.
often two different answers.
Yep.
TikTok is 4 hours of TikTok is probably the best way. Sorry, the most enjoyable way to spend 6 to 10 p.m. However, if I devote an hour of it to reading and writing and praying and all those sorts of things, and then eating right, and then getting my room in order, right, and then getting
Mm-hmm.
ready for bed, and then maybe enjoying half an hour of YouTube or TikTok, right? Um, the difference is stark, and again, the effects compound upon themselves. So no, it's good stuff. Procrastination, like we said from the start, it's something that everybody goes through. Ruts are things that everybody goes through. We all have things we don't want to do in the morning, or well, not even just in the morning. We have things we don't want to do in general,
Everything. Yep.
and doing them in the long term is much more rewarding than putting them off and distracting ourselves with things like social media, and other substance abusers, I would say. And so yeah, that's it. Eat the frog, do the hardest thing first, right? The dessert is the dessert because you have to work for it. You have to do something else first, so it shouldn't come first ever.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's destructive to eat it first because then how is your brain going to manage going backwards and doing the hard work after, right? It doesn't make sense. Um, and so no, these are all important points. And I'll toss it over to you to close, but that's it. Oftentimes, the thing that you least want to do is the thing that you need to do first. And once you overcome that, and writing them out as well, another thing, write them out so that you know what it is you have to do, so that it's easy actions. Where for me, it's a check mark, and if it's not checked off, I can't really live with that. So it's got to get checked off. I've just got to do it. For example, after the show, got to do laundry. Can't really be bothered, but got to do it. Um, and so yeah, I'll toss over to you to close in case I've missed any big um, closing point there, but
No,
that's it.
I don't think so. I think you're spot on. I would just say procrastination is something everyone goes through, and for me, I would highlight just find something that works for you, and try multiple things. And if one thing works, keep doing it. And that's all I would say. Um, just know that when you do the hard things, there's gonna be good things that come after it, and that procrastination will happen, and learn from it and grow from it and know how to combat it. And that's all I would say. Sam closed perfectly, and I just want to say thank you guys for the constant support. We really appreciate that. We really
Thanks as
appreciate you
always. Yep.
guys tuning in, and we're here to grow with you guys. As we always say, we're not better than you. We're just here to share our thoughts and our ideas of what we go through and what everyone goes through. And we want you guys to know that your opinions are valued, and we want to try to help you guys and be another voice to help and maybe combat some of these things. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Obviously, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you do not miss another episode. We will have a couple special episodes coming up here for you guys. And yeah, like we said, we love it. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate it.
Thanks as always.
See
Yep.
you